When you think of Fortnite in Europe, there are a few names that come to mind immediately. Okay, so there's Mr. Savage, Benji Fishy, Mongrel, and of course, Stompy. He's one of the OG Fortnite pros, having completed in some of the very first Fortnite tournaments in the region. He rose up from nothing to be a player for E11, and most recently, Vitality. And of course, no one can forget his impossible World Cup qualifiers run, where he managed to qualify 7 times over before becoming one of the first people to win a Fortnite Champion Series event.
Take a look here, and let's see who we're jumping in with. Oh, these guys, you know exactly who we're looking at here. We're looking at E11 Stompy.
Guys, just look in that bottom center of your screen. Look at the elimination counter already. 17 elims on Stompy and 5 on Shinken. What a start to this game. This is only that 5th circle, that half in, half out.
What's going on, guys? It is your motivation guy. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen, man. I hope you guys are doing well and know that you got somebody in your corner rooting for you. You know what I mean? Like, who believes in you. And don't put limits on yourself. Know that you can do anything if you set your mind to believe. And then back it up with practice, back it up with a good work ethic, and I promise you, you're going to be successful, not only in this game, but also in life. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about an Austrian player who may be one of the best Europe has to offer. Okay, so not only did he qualify for the World Cup 7 times over, he's also been a consistent competitor ever since, becoming the champion of the first Champion Series and eventually being picked up by Team Vitality, the biggest esports team in all of France. This is the story of Stompy.
Very least, he knows what he can do. Let's try get inside of the 1x1s, the safe spaces of these players. That's going to be Ross, who goes down to Stompy's hand. And number 10 for E11, Stompy. Maybe number 11 here, and that's going to be yet another pick there. Stompy is on.
Stompy's Fortnite career started very early on in the game's competitive history. His first showing was at the Pan-European Cup, which was one of the very first online Fortnite tournaments to ever happen. There weren't any prizes involved in this tournament. It was technically a friendly event, but that didn't stop the best players Europe had to offer from showing up. In a duel with his teammate Shinken, Stompy only managed to place 37th in the tournament. It wasn't the best debut showing, but it did lit a spark of passion in the player's heart for professional Fortnite. He was back just a month later to take a place in the Bug Paranoia Opens Duels tournament, an online duel tournament that had been organized by the Bush Paranoia community Discord. This tournament looked to be even more intense than the last, even including players like Mongrel. But clearly, something had happened in the month between this tournament and the last, because Stompy and Shinken were able to take the first place position with ease.
Low ground control, and now this is a point where it is looking really good for the E11 duo. Trox is in a bad spot. He has the health, but doesn't have the shields. And if this goes sour, there you have it. I was gonna say, if they decide to just go and challenge for the fight.
The first 3 months of Stompy's career continued in a similar fashion. He would show up to all the tournaments that he could and place pretty well against some of the best players in Europe. It didn't take long for the Stompy and Shinken duo to get noticed by a Canadian org looking to elevate them to even greater heights. They were both picked up by 11 Gaming. 8 months into their Fortnite careers together, the duo finally had an org to call home. And it was with them that Stompy would start to make the biggest strides in his career.
I know a lot of the pros kind of, had the nerves on edge there whenever a new item or something gets introduced, but you got to give a nice little hat, right? A little hat tip to Epic and the Fortnite team, because the Flint Knock introduction has been a fantastic weapon so far.
When the qualifiers for the World Cup began, Stompy had already managed to cement himself as a name to be watched in the European scene. He had come in second in the Blackheart Cup in solos, alongside Shinken, had placed in the top 10 of both the European Scallywag and Lux Cups. All of that would pale in comparison to what the qualifiers would bring. In week 1 of the qualifiers, Stompy would compete in solos, except he wasn't just able to compete in that qualifying tournament. He was able to win it outright. In interviews after the event, Stompy claimed that the games in that first week were some of the most competitive games that he had ever played. And even though he had come out in first place, he had been shaking for 4 whole games and hyper-focusing on the mistakes and missed shots he made. He didn't realize that he had qualified until after the leaderboard came up, proclaiming that he had come in first place.
So right to the height, will play towards the top of these depots. And now cranking 90s, looking to get above this metal. This player has no idea, and Stompy now gets a free limb.
He's so quick.
It's like he's invisible.
In the second week of the qualifiers, Stompy switched off from solos and instead took a step in the duo qualifiers tournament. As per usual, he was playing alongside his long-standing duo partner, Chinkin, and once again, victory was in Stompy's sights. He didn't quite manage to take the #1 spot that time, but third place was enough to qualify him for the duos World Cup finals as well as the solos.
To Shinkin and Stompy. Also another repeat qualifier, so
Having qualified in both the duels and the solo tournaments, Stompy could have left things where they were and pretty much just chilled out until the finals came along 3 months later. But honestly, like, where's the fun in that? Stompy and Chinkin were back again just 2 weeks later in week 4 of the duels qualifiers. And this time, they shot straight to the top of the leaderboard and won the tournament outright. If that wasn't enough, they came back again on week 6 as a duel to win again, and then on week 8 and 10 to come in second place both times. In total, Stompy didn't just qualify for the World Cup once or twice, he qualified a grand total of 7 times over. And when it came to duos, he and Chinkin qualified in every single duos week.
Also, you see these players that look at this. Oh man, and he saw that one. You know, the names have been hilarious today.
Before the World Cup qualifiers, Stompy and Chinkin were actually at one of their lower points. They had just failed to qualify for an online event and their confidence was low. But instead of wallowing in self-pity and blaming the game for their mistakes, they shook it off and got down and started to grind. They spent hours upon hours just talking about their mistakes and what they had to do to get better. They looked out toward other top-tier duos, how they fought in the mid-game to help acknowledge their mistakes. Then they made the decision to never let those mistakes hold them back again. Stompy said that most of all, he looked up to Zayt and Mitro. In the earlier days of competitive, they were a dominant force in scrims, and he modified himself on their playstyle. That, combined with playing up to 14 hours of pro scrims and arena matches every single day, is what Stompy attributed his incredible success in the qualifiers to. Stompy was flying high. For him, the World Cup qualifiers were a return to form after Katowice Royal event that he considered being a complete disaster. He wanted to prove himself at the World Cup itself, that he wasn't just someone and just a done competitor, and he had what it took to be consistent and be one of the best. Unfortunately for Stompy, it didn't quite work out that way. While Stompy and Chinkin had managed to come out in first in multiple qualifying events, they weren't able to recreate their success in New York's World Cup Duo Finals.
Many options to be able to move around, and Stompy and Chinkin, 2 players that have already qualified for the Fortnite World Cup final. They're going to be in these lobbies looking to cause a ruckus for any of these players, and unfortunately, one of those players is Craze, who ends up going down.
Going into the tournament, Stompy was considered by almost everyone to be one of the players to keep your eye on. One of the biggest online gambling sites in the world, Bovada, had put the player as the 3rd most likely to walk away with the grand prize in solos, and the most likely to walk away with the top spot in duos. But as we all know, Booga took the solo top spot, and Nyrox and Aqua came first in duos. Instead, Stompy and Chinkin only managed to place 25th in the dual finals, and Stompy only managed to come 14th in solos. The World Cup finals were a different beast compared to the qualifying rounds. Here, every single player had gone on their own journey. They were all the best of the best in their regions. No player was weak. And in the face of all that skill, Stompy and Chinkin were only able to come out in the middle of the pack. But it's not like that made their World Cup run a disaster.
The victors of the region, Stompy, Chinkin, Aqua, take it home.
They had already proven themselves in the qualifiers.
Just go ahead, take the wall, make the quick edit, no hesitation there. That's another one for him.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not like they'd come dead last in either solos or duos. Instead, Stompy walked away from the World Cup qualifiers and finals with $132,750 in prize money and a whole bunch of new mistakes he could go over and try to improve himself after.
and Wrecking Crew on the tarp, up to 13 as a duo. Heavy snipes his way in, doesn't slow down and continues pushing the pace, picks it up there, but unfortunately wasn't able to close out for the victory round. Stompy putting on a clinic, showing why he's able to contest for the very top.
Stompy has lost the high ground, but still has the...
After the Fortnite World Cup, the next big event on the horizon for competitive players would be the Fortnite Champion Series, Season X, which Stompy would compete alongside Chinkin and the cooler esports player Aqua, who had taken the top spot in the World Cup Duels tournament. This was a power team, a three-man squad that on paper looked as if they would be able to dominate the exact same way Stompy and Chinkin had dominated the World Cup qualifiers. Only at first, that didn't happen. In weeks 1 and 2 of Season X, Champion Series, the trio only managed to come in 90th and 45th respectively. An incredibly poor showing considering, the skill that all three of these players had shown in the past. Who knows what changed between week 2 and week 3. But all of a sudden the team of 3 actually started playing like a team and managed to come out of the tournament with their first victory. That combined with their 3rd place placement in week 5 allowed the trio to get out of qualifiers and into heats. Heats were different to the qualifiers in one simple way. If the teams had messed up then, there would be no chance to pull themselves back out. It was do or die, and they more than pulled it off.
Beam. Nick Eva goes down. It's a 3v1 at the moment. The big shotgun. The victors of the region. Stompy, Chinkin, Aqua take it home. The Europe Finals, Game 6, the grand final. Winners of the region, 76 points. The victory royale.
With only 8 spots available from the heat to break through into the finals, Stompy, Aqua, and Chinkin knew that they had to play their best. And once again, they ended up placing in first with 74 points. This allowed them to compete in the finals of the league. And once again, the trio showed that they were some of the best players in Europe. The tournament wasn't easy, and if it weren't for an incredible Game 3, then they would have never come out as far as they did. And that game, they showed they truly had what it took to lay the beat down on a stacked lobby of top competitors. They stuck to the high ground throughout the final phase of the game, rained down rockets and spraying enemies down to walk away with 11 total eliminations and a first place score. They had done it. They had won their very first Fortnite Champion Series.
And as you can see, Chinkin, Stompy, Aqua, congratulations. You are the European Season X champions, taking home your share of just under $500,000, 76 points.
Stompy had finally done what he had set out to do in the beginning. Proved that he was one of the best Fortnite players on the planet by becoming one of the first players to take the win in a Champion Series tournament. But he didn't stop there. Stompy has been competing ever since and has only been improving with time. In March this year, Stompy and E11 parted ways. As a free agent, he stopped playing with Chinkin as much and instead started playing with the World Cup Duels winner Aqua a whole lot more. Alongside Aqua, he was able to win multiple qualifying tournaments in the Champion Series Chapter 2 Season 2 event, though didn't quite manage to get the win in the finals last month and instead came in 4th. The performance was clearly impressive enough for the leading French esports organization Vitality to take notice of him. On May 4th, Vitality announced that they had added Stompy to their roster alongside Nikov and Airwalks, and was no doubt immediately gearing up to compete in the first week of the Champion Series Solo Invitational when on May 9th. The future for Stompy looks incredibly bright, man. He's one of the most consistent players in the entire European region and has frequently managed to come in the top spots in qualifying events for major tournaments. He may have had a few stumbles along the way, but if Stompy keeps growing, man, and he keeps improving and looking to the future, then there's no doubt that when the Fortnite World Cup returns in 2021, he's going to be looking to cement himself as a true Fortnite legend by taking the top spot. All right, guys, once again, this is your motivation guy. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen. I want you guys to keep going forward. Man, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm proud of your hard work. Keep grinding, never give up, and never surrender, man. You can do this. There's greatness on the inside of you. And sometimes we have to go through certain things for that greatness to come out. This is your time. So let it out, man. Let it out. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that important bell button so you can get notified whenever we upload a new video. All right, we'll see you soon. Peace.